So what is going on, guys? I'm BlackOpsAmazing. Welcome back to another video. Welcome back to another Zombies Q&A on the channel. The series you guys know by now, where we take your questions from the comment section below to do with the zombie storyline, Easter eggs, and I answer them. As always, if you go into today's video, a like rating is always appreciated. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest videos on the channel. But let's get into this. Here we go, and enjoy. So the first question of the day says, what can you tell us about the teddy rabbit? Well, this is the perfect time to answer this question because we have recently in season 4 just gotten some brand new intel that tells us more about this teddy. Now, he's new to Cold War Zombies. What replaced him in our previous timeline was Samantha's teddy, the bear that you saw in the mystery box or just in random locations in our zombies maps, the one that Samantha always held in her hands. Her teddy bear is pretty much what the rabbit is in Cold War. And in our most recent Easter egg for Outbreak, it also plays a role in that as well. We find it in Sanatorium on a broken mystery box. We then have to pick it up and use it as bait to trap the orb inside of the rover. Since the orb is made up of children, at least children's souls, we can hear them crying from within inside it. Well, what do children like? Teddies, and the rabbit was the perfect thing to use. So it plays quite a big role in the latest Outbreak Easter egg, and even though we've seen it since November now, we haven't really been told why it's here, why it seems to have replaced Samantha's teddy bear, what is the meaning behind it, who does it belong to, if anyone. And well, in a new piece of intel you can find called the Child's Note, the description says a note found on the mystery box bunny appears to be written by a child with a connection to the Dark Ether object. And looking at the note itself, there is a drawing of the purple bunny in the middle. It is torn, there are holes in it, and there is writing all around the bunny which says, "This is my best friend, Mr. Peaks. Mr. Peaks is always watching. Mr. Peaks likes to play hide and seek. Mr. Peaks lives in my hat. Mr. Peaks always tells the truth. Thank you, Mr. Peaks. You keep me safe in this dark place." So the teddy clearly belongs to a child, we're told that. And even from the writing, the way this child is putting things, you can tell this was written by a child. It comes from the Dark Ether. So just from this little bit of information we can gather, the story behind this is there must have been a child trapped within the Dark Ether who had this teddy and it kept them safe. It's kind of interesting how they say Mr. Peaks likes to play hide and seek. He lives in my hat. This could have a deeper meaning, or it could just simply refer to the magic trick of rabbits appearing out of magicians' hats. But if it's living in this child's hat, who is this child? Why are they wearing a hat in the Dark Ether when there's no sunlight? That's the bigger question here. But other things they write, such as Mr. Peaks is always watching, that's kind of creepy and almost reminds me of Samantha's teddy bear. It felt like in our old timeline, that was always watching us. Whenever we saw it in World at War, Black Ops 1, it was always a representation of Samantha watching her while she was inside of the MPD. It was like the teddy bear was representing her being on Earth whilst her actual body was on the moon. But most importantly, this teddy comforts this child and keeps them safe, whether it's a boy or a girl, in the Dark Ether. As to why we see Mr. Peaks in the mystery box, why he appears there, I'm not sure what the correlation between the two is because we don't actually know who gives us the mystery box. We know who gives us the perk machines and the pack-a-punch, stuff like that. That was Zykov, but the mystery box isn't a piece of machinery. There is magic behind it. It was Dr. Monty who gave it to us in the previous timeline, so who's giving it to us now? We don't know, and why the rabbit's in there is a little bit strange. But yeah, that is the little bit of storyline that we have about Mr. Peaks. The next question of the day from James says, since Transit was massively cut down for the final version, is there any more cut content for that map? So I've already done quite a few videos on cut content from Transit, well, probably about 2 by now, and Transit is so unique because it's vastly different from any other zombies map that we've had, especially for the time that it released during Black Ops 2. It was massive, it had its own transportation system. You can imagine the amount of ideas that Treyarch would have had and the amount of cut content that didn't make it into the final version. There was so much for Transit that was planned to be in it compared to a regular zombies map. One mode that most of you probably would have heard about that was cut from Transit was called Meat. I've done a video on this previously. This up on screen now was supposed to be the loading screen, or I guess you could say the concept artwork for the game mode Meat, and you can tell by how it looks, this mode must have been near to the final stages of development. For one reason or another, it was cut from the final version of Transit, and I've said this before, it looks amazing, how everything is lit up, the neon on the buildings. But what you want to know about is other cut content from Transit, and well, take a look at this. These are pre-alpha images of a game mode called Race that was in Black Ops 2 Transit. People actually got to play this before it was removed from the game. There was also footage of this on YouTube, again before Activision took it down, because it didn't make it into the final version. But Race, along with Meat, were 2 game modes that were cut. And I have to say, I just love the vibe you get, the lights, the neon. This game mode Race, along with Meat, like, epic. We've got the whole transit map in a different style than what we're used to seeing it. This is more of like a 3D view. I love the artistic feel of this, especially compared to the actual map layout that we get in game. And then we have farm. You can just tell that this is a pretty early build. It's lacking textures, but it just looks cool with the whole hot rod sign there. The garage. Now, if you're wondering what exactly was this race game mode, well, there was actually someone on YouTube who released the audio files from these two modes. I'll play them for you in just a second, but taking a look at the description that he put, he said, I was going through the files of some early Black Ops 2 builds when I stumbled upon a ton of early placeholder Richtofen announcer dialogue. He then goes on to say that pretty much it's not playable anymore. The only thing that exists in the game files now is the audio. And in terms of what race was, he said it was a game mode where you had to race through rooms to the finish line. But in order to progress, you have to kill a certain amount of enemies. So what I want to play for you now are the cut audio dialogues for these modes. The first one you are going to hear is from Race, and these are announcer quotes said by Richtofen. However, you will notice that it doesn't sound like Richtofen, and that's because I believe, if I'm not wrong in saying, it's actually Craig Houston who is doing the dialogue. Since these modes were still in early development, what would have happened is Craig would have written the quotes and he then would have recorded them himself to see how they sounded, and if it went any further towards the final stages, he would have got a Nolan North to record them, because of course he is the actual voice actor of Richtofen. And obviously Richtofen's the announcer because, well, he was the announcer during BO2.
Hello, my sexy leg participants. It is your fearless leader, Richtofen. Welcome to Race. It's very easy. Just kill the required amount of zombies to open a door, move through to the next area, and repeat until you cross the finish line. A glorious game, if I do say so myself. Be sure to cause your opponent some grief along the way. Get ready to race. Let's pick up the pace. You are a room behind. Your lead has increased to 2 rooms. What strong, sexy legs you have. Hey, slowpokes. Stop wasting time. You're 2 rooms behind. Mein Gott. I can't believe you're ahead by 3 rooms. What drugs are you on? Kill 15 zombies and your door opens. 3 zombies to go.
So those were just some of the audio quotes that were going to be said by Richtofen for this race game mode. Very, very weird. There are a lot more than these. I just had to pick out a couple. But you do get a good idea of what this mode would have consisted of. You start off in one building, and then in order to progress through the map, you have to kill a certain amount of zombies to open up another door. So I'm guessing in the first room, maybe you kill 20 zombies, a door opens up. In the next area you kill, I don't know, 30 zombies, another door opens up, and then in the next you kill 14 and so on. And you're also doing this whilst you're racing against another team. So that was Race, and the other game mode, of course, was Meet. And here are the audio logs for that.
Hey there, willing participants. Welcome to Meet. The rules are easy. When the meat drops, you finally reached manhood. I mean, grab it, throw it, don't get caught with it. Zombies will only attack you if your side has the meat. Don't die and you might just win. Feel free to kick it too, my pretties. Get ready to play Meat. Meat pile in the center, go get it. I know you're dying to get your hands on some meat, so get it. The meat has fallen and is begging to be grabbed. Step 1, get meat done. Step 2, get rid of meat. Oh, you have my meat in your hands. Kinky. Oh, hello everybody. I'm not going to make an obvious meat joke. For now. Get ready to play. Who's ready for a big meat pile?
Again, really interesting. One thing we can say is, well, if you just take a look at the loading screen itself, something noticeable on here is the piece of meat that we can actually find in the Grief game mode. I think it's a very rare item you can pick up, but this piece of meat is in the actual game, so more than likely it was taken from this meat mode and then added into Grief. So not everything went to waste, but I have to say, I kind of wish we got both of these game modes. Transit was supposed to be so much more compared to what we actually got. You can understand it because it came out on the old generation of consoles, not even the past, but the 360 and PS3. They were very, very limited in terms of space, in terms of what they could do. Transit was also a massive project, something that Zombies had never seen before, and there was actually an interview by Jason Blundell where he came out and pretty much said that, yeah, it was Treyarch's fault because they just took on more than they could take. They had all these ideas, but it was just too much to put into the game, so everything had to be cut down. Transit, the map itself, was cut down in terms of size and features, and also these extra modes were cut, and the only other extra mode we got was Grief. Later on we did get Turned, which was supposed to be another one to launch with Transit, but let me know in the comment section below, would you guys like to see these modes return in the future. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'd be interested to know what you guys think. Anyway guys, there we go, that is it. That is all I have for you for today's video. As always, hopefully you have enjoyed. If you have nothing to do, drop a like rating. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest videos on the channel. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.